supposed to start? Like, is this one number one or is this number one? Is there like a set order?
I have no idea.
Because I worried that maybe I put them up upside down or something. Because runs up and ask all centers to have these. 9 for big centers. I think 12 for big centers, 9 for small centers. So I don't know if there's one special way. Use my cover.
Okay. Go up.
It's glue, I glue the one. But if it's the wrong way, I can move the whole picture.
I don't know, I mean, normally this could be like when they have draw in one whole thing and this on the very top.
This is the top.
And then next one, this one.
Oh really? Oh, I can't change this one.
Yeah, so when they have that one. But when you have like that, I have no idea. I mean, it could be top either one of them. Umbrella or banner.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what this means?
It's the jewel.
The jewel?
It represents the jewel. I don't know whether it represents the refuge, but it's just a particular jewel. And I don't know again also whether it has any influence from the Indian or not, the Chinese Indian.
Yeah.
But normally they are just two. And we have three, and normally it represents just a particular jewel.
It's like the wish fulfilling jewel.
Yeah. But three, I don't know whether it represents the three jewels. I'm not sure. Maybe you have to ask Andy Weber. Because he studied more into this symbolism and everything. That is what he teaches. And he probably will focus on more research on those areas.
Yeah, when we got these power statues, Geshe came last year, and he told us to get power statues beside power places because we want to buy our new building, buy our own home. So he recommended this. So we bought these statues, and then I found out afterwards there's different lineages of towers and towers. I can't remember this lineage now. Yeah. So I asked Andy Weber if there was a certain order, and he said he didn't know. And then he said to write to the Geshe in Holland, Amsterdam. They had the same statues. But he didn't know either. So he said the statues all came with one number.
Maybe you can write open and Venerable Dancer, the manager. Danger. Or temperature danger.
Okay.
And he might be known, probably he might have ordered this statue, he just promote center to that statue. And he has some idea about different instruments and different lineage.
Yeah. I mean, they're all numbers. Like this is definitely on the statue. It says number 1.
Okay.
And then 21. So it's just the layout, it's just done certain way. Instead of like this. Geshe Samson helped us. You know Geshe Samson?
Yeah. He came
and helped.
He have to put what?
Well, no, Copan built them. It's just Geshe Samson helped
I see, okay.
buy them.
I see, it's Geshe Samson who bought it? Helped buy it, okay.
Yeah. People like this one. firstly, Tiger Rinpoche said, get 21 like this size. And then at the end of the teaching, he said, or maybe you could get small ones. So it's okay.
And how are things moving from that direction?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
We raised, so far we have £70,000. And then just last week, one sponsor said she was giving 100,000. So we think if we have like £200,000 nearly, and then we get a mortgage on top of that, we could probably buy somewhere for 300,000. In city centre it's difficult because here you're talking quite expensive. But if you just go like 10 minutes walk from the train station or 15 minutes walk, then maybe it's okay to find somewhere that's pretty old, needs lots of work. It's going to be fine somewhere, 200,000. So we're going to start looking, find some options. And then see. As long as Rebel has to approve if we buy big. That's exciting.
Also, same thing in Santa Fe. They are trying to raise money for new building. They are also renting.
Same good then.
Yeah.
The Santa Fe, is that your center? Yeah.
I invest there most time.
Right. Is it the west or the east?
Southwest.
Southwest.
It is
California.
not near California, further. It's border to Arizona.
Okay.
Arizona. It border to Arizona, Colorado, Texas.
Okay, Texas. So what kind of center is Santa Fe looking for?
Well, they have been renting, and also they are looking for the bigger space at the moment. The space is too small.
Like this size?
It might be a little bit smaller than this size. I think probably here you could fit what, 50, 60 people?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's full,
Like 40 people would be
no problem.
fully.
But you have one house there separate? You live in one house?
I've been staying in someone's guest house or casita before. Small. been here before? Do you come here before?
Yeah.
Yeah, often? How long you have been here?
Not often, but for maybe a few years.
Okay.
But not often.
And then have been taking refuge to the Sangha, the precept, the commitment that has been recommended and prescribed to avoid is to not to be physically too close those who are against your spiritual path and who discourage you. Again, of course, this again for us who are at the very beginner. We can be very much influenced by our friends, our environment, the society, and so forth. And at the very beginner, our practice is not strong. And if we have not the right friends and right people around us, even if we have the right motivation, good motivation at the very beginning, we might lose the track, especially in a modern world and society where there is so much driving towards the materialism and not so much attention paid to the spiritualism and your mind. And so we can be off the track from our spiritual path easily if we are surrounded by people who are not spiritual and who doesn't have the same kind of inspirations. And that is why Sangha is very important. A community, a group of people who share same kind of inspirations, same you often see, some students who come to some of the meditation centers, such as like Kopan in Nepal. Probably maybe we might get around, you can say maybe around 400 or 500 students each year throughout the year over the time. And you can see people kind of really kind of inspired, kind of lightening up and so encouraged, so inspired, and they want to go back home and continue to practice and studies and that, and they have all this enthusiasm, a lot of inspirations and a lot of those. And then they go back home and they don't have support of the Sangha. In some places there is no group like here. If there is a group like here, like a Sangha, then of course again it helped them. But some places they don't have that. And their friends are not interested in that. They are interested in going to parties, pub, and this and that. Maybe at the very beginning they can say, no, I'm not interested, I don't want to go. I want to do more meditations. And they might be able to successfully do that. After 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, they don't have same support to inspire them. And they are trying to practice by themselves and surrounded by all the people who doesn't support that kind of environment. And then slowly, okay, I will go today to disco, party, pub, whatever. And they go, and then slowly they fall into the same old old habits, and then totally kind of distance themselves from the Dharma. And again, it requires a lot of effort and a lot of things again to be able to bring back to the path. And so that because of that, you see in a lot of the teachings, a lot of the writing, and sutras, they encourage us to be surrounded by the kind of right people who support. Necessarily, they don't have to believe in the same, but at least they support in your path. And I mean, it is very sad, but you see, sometimes I've seen in families, sometimes they have to make choice whether you choose me or you choose the Dharma. Some people have that difficulty. It's not easy. And it's not easy to make both of choice. They are committed to one, and they still really find helpful to their practice in Dharma, but in some cases they get in that kind of situations. So anyway, finding when there is better environment in terms of similar people, Sangha, who have similar inspirations, interests, then practicing Dharma become more easier. Not so difficult, easier. And sometimes even you get a little bit kind of lazy, discouraged, but your friends, let's go to the meditation, let's go that. And they give you encouragement, you go and then you start enjoying it, and you wish, oh, why didn't I come last week? I should have come last week. But when you don't have that kind of encouragement, then one day you feel lazy, next week you feel lazy, and next week lazy, and then slowly again you get off from your practice. So that is why Sangha is very important. The conventional Sangha, even in monastery when we were studying, we can see the influence of that, Sometimes you feel a little bit tired and you want to go to bed a little bit early, So maybe I might decide to go to bed around 9, 9:30, 10. Then the rest of the monks will be kind of reciting, doing their prayers around, and you feel a little bit uncomfortable. The rest of them is studying very hard, practicing or whatever, and here you are trying to be lazy and sleeping, and it just makes you a little bit uncomfortable, and then you just want to get up and do something, On other hand, if everyone is sleeping and I'm trying to do that, then I might feel similar uncomfortable, Everyone is sleeping, why I'm not sleeping? Am I disturbing them? All this kind of, so how, you can say how it influences us, especially at the very beginner. And so, to have Sangha and to have right kind of people around you, surrounding, friends, and that with similar that really help us to be in the right directions where we want to be, and not to lose distracted from that directions. And when we are become lazy and discouraged, they can help us to bring more encouragement, more enthusiasm, more inspirations, and that way then we are able to make more and more progress in our path. And then what to be practiced is that whatever object that represents the Sangha, we will try to respect them as much as we will respect the actual Sangha itself. So again, showing the respect to whether Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, which represent all those qualities, because we respect those qualities, so we try to respect anything that represent those qualities. And showing respect is not something of just for other person, but it's about our own. When we show respect, our mind becomes more spacious, more open, more soft. And when our mind and heart become more open, more spacious, more soft, we are able to receive more from others. We are able to gain more from others. When we become a very kind of arrogant, proudful, disrespect, then it makes our mind closed, hard. And when our mind becomes hard and close up, then we are unable to receive more. We receive less. We gain less. And of course, we want to be treated respectfully by others. So we also, therefore, we also try to treat others respectfully. Even something which we don't kind of agree and believe in, still we have to learn to be respectful of that. And definitely, if you believe and agree with certain things, definitely you have to be even more respect. There's no doubt about that. But even something which you don't totally agree and believe, still we have to learn to respect those different opinion and view as well. And that only help to you to grow up. It doesn't make you less. It only make you better persons, better human beings. Being respectful doesn't make you weak. It's a sign of confidence. It's a sign of you are not afraid to be respectful or something. Even sometimes you don't truly agree with. And so, and respect is very important qualities that we need to develop for our better relationship and better interaction with others. I think in the world, a lot of time, people misunderstand or unable to communicate honestly, truthfully, because there's not enough trust in each others, confidence in others. And a lot of time, people cannot have those trust, confidence because the other person treat them disrespectfully. So that is some of the theory to avoid and theory to practice by having gone or taken the refuge. And then there are some other general advices that you find encouraging us to by remembering the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, taking refuge, by remembering the kindness and contributions of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha in our spiritual path, trying to make offerings from our heart. Anytime when we eat, when we drink, first we try to remember Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, we make offering to them, and then eat it, drink it as a blessing from them. And again, the point is not about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. They don't mind whether you're offering or you don't offering. From their side, there's no difference. But it's our training. Training to be gracious and gratitude and grateful for the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, for us to find the path and to be able to follow the path. And then from our heart, we try to make the offerings. And when we do sincerely and correctly in that way, then it is also we create a lot of merit and virtues and the conducive conditions for growth of our spiritual path. And also it's training to be kind of training to kind of control our mind instead of immediately when our mind see a smell and see a delicious food or something, instead of what you call gobbling, you learn just to kind of relax, take time, take some time to reflect, contemplate, try to make offerings, and then started to eat or drink. And so it's a training to act, not to act impulsively, when something you just automatically, impulsively you react. That's what we do in most part of our life, in every day, in many things. So it is, even though you automatically just want to grab it, drink it, or eat it, that is how our automatic, impulsive want. We train not to do that. Learning to kind of pause, And it's tools that we develop with everything. And eventually we develop a tools that when anger arises, immediately you want to respond with that anger in verbally or speech or physically. And because of that training, you don't do that. You learn to kind of give the gap, pause before you react. And that gap that you get before you respond can be very helpful, extremely helpful. It gives you the time to really make the decisions, what kind of response is better, healthy, positive. A lot of time we don't give that opportunity to think. We just react, respond kind of immediately, automatically in that way, in false, what you call impulsive way, in that way. So again, those are the kind of training in that way. Those are part of those training as well. And Lama Tsongkhapa said, in one of his writings, Lamrim, all the Lamrim, the middle Lamrim, the great Lamrim, and others. Nyena tsikmasin, samna tuemago, kobna, Julamay jabal. Lotun shingi tula temba, mengayinos. He said, sometime even you try to listen to the words of the teachings, you struggles, even just to listen it. You struggles. There is some kind of resistance just to listen to the Dharma. Certain teachings, certain time we struggles. There is some kind of resistance to that. And sometimes we don't have any resistance to that teachings, the words. We can just follow it, able to listen it, able to. But when we try to reflect on the meaning of those teachings, then I cannot understand fully what it means. Your mind is kind of open to listen it, no resistance, no struggles, but at the same time, you have difficulty of understanding the meaning of the words, meaning of the teachings. So again, we have another different level, another struggles. Not being able to understand. the meaning of those teachings, the meaning of the words. And sometimes we don't even have that struggles or of not understanding the meanings. We understand the meaning intellectually. Intellectually, we understand what it means. But when you try to reflect, contemplate, meditate, there's no realizations. There's no transformation in our heart. You have the understanding of meaning, but in terms of spiritual realizations or experiential realizations, no matter how much you try to meditate, no matter how much you try to reflect, contemplate, there is some blockage. You cannot go further. There is some blockage, not being able to. And so Lama Tsongkhapa, when those things happens, you study, you learn, you reflect, and you meditate, contemplate, but still you are unable to make any progress, any transformations, any realizations. In such time, the instructions is to create more merit by depending on holy objects. And that is one of his advice. And he himself found out that was also how he was able to overcome some of his struggle through that. And so, and therefore here, even though we might not have time to do a kind of creating merit by able to find time and resource to do big kind of ceremony, big puja to create merit, we can always find, we always eat, we always drink 3-4 times, 5 times a day. Why don't make it that an offering time to create a merit? And I think Lama Sopa Rinpoche is really good at that. When he eat, before he eat, he do extensive sok offerings. Most time, he do extensive offering prayers, visualizations. And that is, if we can, even we can't do so extensive like Lama Sopa does. Sometimes he can do for 2-3 hours. Yeah. The food comes and he starts doing that offerings. 2-3 hours. It get cold and they go and make it hot. Comes again, his prayer not finished. Again it get cold. And then at the end, now a lot of people they will not heat up until he finish whole practice in that, because they have found out that doesn't work that way. But of course, even though we can't do that, even we can spend 1 minute, 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes to do that and create an incredible amount of the merit that we need. Merit or virtues is the conducive condition that we need for our realization, spiritual growth. Just like when you are planting a seed of something, whether it's flower, whether it's a vegetable, or whether it's plant, fruit plant. Of course, the main primary substantial cause of that fruit plant is that seed, whatever you are putting the seed. But just by seed itself is not going to grow. You need all other conducive conditions, right kind of soil, water, like moisture, the light and everything. When everything comes together, all the conditions come together, then that seed will grow to its potential, full potentials. Not only it will grow its full potential and able to produce. But if some of other factors are missing, then even it will not go fully to its full potential. Same thing, our meditations, our practice, the main meditation or practice, whatever different subject that we practice on, that is like the seed. Okay, that is like the seed. We need that. Without that seed, we cannot grow. Without that meditation, that practice, no realization can arise. But at the same time, with that seed, we need other conditions, such as creating the merit. They have to go together. And so, therefore, that is why creating merit is very much emphasized in all the Vajrayana teachings and Mahayana teachings. And the purifications. So therefore, we try to, before we drink and eat, we try to make the offerings. Again, it is not about the Buddha Dharma Sangha accepting it or not. It's all about your training. For example, we make a water offering, for example, water bowl offering. It seems Buddha or Bodhisattva, they don't care whether you offer that or not. And they are not actually going to drink really in terms of that we drink like we drink. But it's more of your training of your mind. It's like being a generous. I'm willing to offer to someone, even someone doesn't want to drink, doesn't want to eat. They are full, they don't want to eat, but from my side, I want to really offer. And I train to do that. Anyone who comes, you offer something. And that is your training, to be more generous, to be more open. And whether they accept it, whether they want or not, that is not a big issue. It's more about training yourself. And also, to be able to remember the Buddha Dhamma Sangha and making the effort to do something for them or for, That is what cares. And I mean, just like even in our life, ordinary life, we see sometimes even you don't need the help, but someone trying the effort to trying to be helpful. That means a lot. So it's more of training of that, those kind of things. So anyway, so that is the one. And by remembering or recollecting the kindness of Buddha Dharma Sangha, then we make offering. By remembering and recollecting the compassions of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, then we try to inspire, we try to encourage and inspire others to take refuge, others to work with their mind, and that. And then also another advice is whenever we try to engage into any kind of activities, any projects, anything like that, trying to remember the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, making offering, requesting for their blessings, their guidance. And then trying to take refuge 6 times of the day, 3 times in the evening, 3 times in the morning. But I think that has been, normally I think it is taking a refuge 6 times a day. But since we are lazy and we can't find 6 times a day, some of the teachers, master, make it easy to do 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evening. If we do really kind of practical, really, I think it is like almost 2 hours. 12 hours during the daytime, 2 hours. If every 2 hours we take a refuge. Every 2 hours we reconnect our mind, heart with the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And that is just the training, beginning. From 6 times a day, then we train to connect 12 times a day, 24 times a day, 48 times a day. Theoretically, that is how. And then we connect every moment. Until we reach every moment, we are connected with Buddha Dhamma Sangha all the time. Each moment, all the time. So these are just a kind of method, starting point. The point is to be able to connect with the Buddha Dhamma Sangha 24 hours all the time. And then, even though we wish, but we are not there at the moment. And so therefore, how can we train to reach that level and that point? And it is like just starting with 6 times a day. And the idea is that we do more and more, and then slowly that we feel every moment, every second, totally connected and having that sense of refuge all the time. So those are some of the general advices that you find in many of the sutras and many other teachings on taking refuge. So again, as we have been mentioning from this morning, taking refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha means a sense of having the trust, competence, faith in that, and totally relying on the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And I think there are two different ways of doing that in terms of reliance on Buddha Dhamma Sangha. For certain practitioners, because of the way their mind works, maybe those with more kind of analytical, more stronger analytical state of mind, maybe first they rely on the teaching, the wisdom, the Dharma, and having developed total faith, confidence in that, then they rely on the Buddha who taught that teachings, who gave that teachings. And then they also rely on the Sangha who has actualized or who had the inspirations to actualize that Dharma. So starting from the Dharma. And I think that is what you see in some of the writing of Nagarjuna, some of the writing of Lama Tsongkhapa. That is their state of mind. As I mentioned before, in the praise to the Buddha Shakyamuni, by praising dependent arising, he said clearly that his faith and his devotions and his confidence and trust in Buddha has increased immensely once he started to have understanding of dependent arising. Once he learned about dependent arising, and once he tried to implement that, and when he had that realization, he found incredible. It's like you found a jewel here, incredible jewel. And who gave that jewel, who taught that jewel is the Buddha. Then he felt immense gratitude, immense faith and devotions towards the Buddha. And that is when he starts composing that praise. He didn't have that same level of devotion, same level of the faith, same level of the trust that he before, until he had that understanding, realization of that. And so his that immense increase incredibly after that. And same thing, there is again Nagarjuna, same thing writing in that. Same Nagarjuna said his faith and devotion to the Buddha increase and develop once he understood the meaning of emptiness as dependent origination and dependent origination as emptiness. Incredible teaching that no one has gave before. And his revelations is incredible revelation that, and he found incredibly with all his experience once he had realization of that. And so he has immersed incredible faith, devotion, and trust, confidence arises towards that Buddha's teachings and the Buddha himself who taught that. And then, of course, to all other Sanghas who have cultivated that wisdom or who are inspiring to be cultivating that wisdom. And for some of the students who have less kind of less analytical way of thinking, maybe first they have the devotions towards the Buddha, and then they have the more devotion towards the teaching that he gave, and the Sangha who is trying to follow that. So in terms of reliance, first relying on the Dharma and the Sangha and Buddha, or first relying on the Buddha and then to his words of the teachings and the Sangha and so on. So there can be two kind of individuals, students and disciples, how in terms of how they are able to connect in that way. And coming to that reliance I just wanted to mention that there is a teaching which is called the Four Reliance. And according to that Four Reliance, is that you should not rely on the person itself, but you should rely on the words of that person's, or the meaning of that. So what it is saying is, instead of relying on someone because they have great reputations, or because they have a lot of gatherings, a lot of people, or because they have written a lot of great best-selling books and so on, or because they have won a lot of awards for their writing and so on. Really rely on what they say and how they react, how they act. I think that is, and again, that is, I think, importance of relying more on the teachings and their act and their behavior more than who person is known to be. Basically, so Kansala Chola, don't rely on the person, but rely on the teachings or the Dhamma. And within the teachings, there are interpretive teachings and definitive teachings. And within that, you rely on the definitive teachings and not the interpretive teachings. Because the interpretive teaching need to be interpreted, and so you can't take it. Of course, again, that has many meanings, so without going in that. And within that teachings, and so that, and then from the teachings, then realizations or consciousness of realization rely on the direct experience instead of unstable, inferential understanding. So when it comes to the, again, experience, we can have two experience that come through inferential reasoning, logic, and so on, and then the direct experience. Among that time, then direct experience is more reliable, more that. And so I think it just came into my mind of those the four reliance in that. When it talk about the two persons of two type of students or disciple who might be relying on in two different categories, I guess. So this one more kind of follow the students with a more analysis mind, whether you call it sharp faculty mind. So I think with that, maybe I will conclude about today's topic, subjects, and I can take few questions if there is. Couple of questions, yes.
Can I just ask, what is the fourth reliance?
So first is reliance on the teachers, but among that you rely on the teachings. Among the teachings, then among two of teaching, definitive. And among that, from the experience from that teachings, there are two experience, inferential experience and direct experience, and rely on direct experience. So those are the four reliance. Yeah. Any questions? Any comments? Any sharing?
When you mentioned earlier about the Tibetan word is Nangpa.
Nangpa, yeah.
Meaning spiritual practitioner. So it's not, it doesn't specify that it's a follower of the Buddha. Would you also call other spiritual people from other spiritual paths Nangpa as well?
Literally, Nangpa means someone who look inward, or someone who is someone, instead of looking outward, is someone who look inwards. That's a literal meaning of that. But when we use it, I don't think we will not be using it for more than the Buddha's followers, other than Buddha's followers. And I guess maybe, I don't know, the idea might be because at least in the past, most of the other spiritual practitioners, from Buddhist point of view, they are still kind of looking outside because they still believe in some kind of creator God, whether you call it Brahma, whether you call it Shiva, whether you call it Vishnu, whether you call it whatever different name that you have for those different creator God, whichever you feel it. Still from Buddhist point of view, you are still, again, kind of looking outward because of you are still in that way after that. And maybe that is why they don't use that for that. But definitely in general, we don't use the Nangpa for non-Buddhist. But I was just the like in some you can see that like Buddhists, like Dönbe Genjuk, those who follow the Buddha, Dönbe Genjuk. But that is not the main word we use in Tibetan for the Buddhism is Nangche, and for the person who practices Nangpa. So that is the main, yeah.
I'm just thinking
Yes.
about somebody who's very new to Buddhism and takes refuge. For them, it seems like the external, like an outer refuge, would only really be the teachings, because there's nobody on the planet now who is a Buddha that we all agree. They're not showing that, right? And there's also nobody saying they have direct realization of emptiness. Nobody is saying anyway, because they don't say that. So the only one left really is the books for beginners, as an external refuge. Because otherwise they just have to have blind faith that the others are there.
If someone really understands some level of emptiness and how that understanding can the possibility of overcoming the delusions and the possibility of someone achieving nirvana, then I think you see all the possibility there. So if all the possibility is there, why can't there be someone who has that? It's not something impossible. It's something which is possible, which has been there for a long time. And so therefore there must be someone, even though no one has come and proclaimed in our time. Even in our time, of course, there are people who proclaim, who had that. And whether it's us to us, we believe those who say themselves they have those realization or not. Again, it depends on individual, It depends on individuals. And so, yeah. And so, therefore, even though we might not be able to identify he is the Buddha, and that is, but at the same time we know that there is someone.
So you have to infer that that's possible.
Yeah, infer. Yeah, so to be able to do that, they have to have some understanding of how the delusion works and how it is rooted in ignorance and how what is the true nature of reality and how realizing that can act as an antidote to ignorance, and that could act as an antidote to the rest of the delusions, and therefore that nirvana is possible, fully enlightened state is possible. And so, but of course, if they don't have good understanding of that, then it could be a little bit more kind of more on belief than more on assertions. But someone who have a good grasp or understanding on that, I think they will see the possibility of that. Even though it's not direct experience, but inferentially, with the reasoning and logic, they can see it is possible. It is just like in science, where with mathematically you see there are possibility of that, even though you don't have the direct experience, you have not been direct to some of those places, but you can mathematically kind of measure how much distance this and that. And similarly, I think that is how it works. And of course, once you have direct experience, then you don't need an inferential anymore. Inferential is only way to lead to the direct experience. Once you have the direct experience, you don't require the inferential. Yeah. Yeah. So then we do the dedications. Page number 24. Or maybe 23. The prayer of dedications. So again, we can due to all the virtues that ourselves and others are created, may the Dharma flourish and benefit countless sentient beings. May His Holiness Dalai Lama, Kyabje Lama Soba Rinpoche, all our gurus, holy beings have long life, healthy life, all their wishes be fulfilled. May each and every sentient beings be able to actualize the Bodhicitta mind and wisdom realizing emptiness as soon as possible. And those who have already actualized, not to diminish, but increase more and more. And due to that, may there be more peace, harmony, more tolerance in the world. And may there be more joy, happiness in the world. May all the sickness, obstacles, whatever those obstacles are in everyone's life, of all sentient beings, may they all be immediately ceased, pacified. May everyone has healthy life, peaceful, joyful, happy life. And may we all achieve fully enlightened state as soon as possible for the highest benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, page number 23. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Next, 25. Through the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain a stand of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state, just as the brave Manjushri and Samanbhadra too realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these root of virtues, with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious one, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva. Kanri rawe korwe shingam de pendan dewa malu chungwe ne chenre senwan tinzen gyatso ye shabe sede padu tengyuru chi. Then 34, long life forever, Lama Sobar Mushe. To zo chang shin chang gun jave, ten zin jong pe we kun so to por zo, cho son ko we le mo to do. Pa ta so do je gun do sha ten. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.